What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Ammo Test Series number 3, I can't even do that, for 40 Smith & Wesson. Today's offering is from Underwood. It is a 40 Smith & Wesson, of course, 140gr Xtreme Penetrator, going at an advertised velocity of 1,200 feet per second. The Xtreme Penetrators are these screwdriver-looking tips, not to be confused with the Xtreme Defenders. That's what those look like. They're close, but they're not exactly the same. They just have different ways that they've cut the flutes into them to do a little bit different things. This is the 40 cal version of the Xtreme Defender, so we have that test. That's ammo test number 2 in the series. I would advise checking that out. It's very cool. Let's see how the Xtreme Penetrator version does. The firearm we're going to be using is a 4.25-inch Smith & Wesson model M&P40. That's a Gen 1. We're going to be sending 5 of these things into this B8 target with this pistol, hopefully getting into this X-ring. We're going to check accuracy. We're going to also use a chronograph to get an average of velocity and foot-pounds, hopefully. Then we're going to move the chronograph to right in front of the gel to hopefully capture the velocity of the bullet as it impacts the gel. And as far as the gel goes, we have 2 20-inch clear ballistics gel blocks, 10%. And yes, they have been hit before. I don't think we're going to come out of this first block too much. We could get into here a little bit, but we should be able to see what we're doing. We got to use these blocks a few times. They're not cheap and they're not easy to remelt. My typical accuracy speech, I do all my accuracy testing offhand. We don't have a bench, a table, a rest, or anything that we shoot off of because we're checking for practical accuracy with defensive handgun ammunition. So we don't get those luxuries of a rest and all that if we're in the real world. Not that this is super real world testing. I mean, it's a target that doesn't move and it's me standing there shooting, but it's close enough simulation that we can get other than, I mean, I can't think of any other way to test for practical accuracy. There's always arguments to that, but this is just how I like to do it. With all that said and with testing explained, let's get to shooting. All right, we got 5 rounds loaded up. We're 15 feet off the chronograph, 20 feet off the target. So let's see if I can shoot accurately today. We did hit the X-ring, and that's 1239. A little bit higher and to the right, we have a 1251. Still off to the right a little bit with 1227. $12.41. And $12.32. Let's take a look at that target. All right, all of my shots have trended high and to the right just a little bit. We are questioning this gun just a little bit, but this is the gun we started with the test with 1, 2, now we're on 3, so we're not going to switch guns. But with Underwood ammo specifically, we were seeing a little bit of separation of groups. We had a little bit down here from the previous test. I'll put those up there just so you see them real quick. But we have this grouping up here sometimes and then a grouping a little bit down here. This time they have all grouped up here. That could be my sights in the sun. That could be my shooting somehow, but I'm not sure. We're just gonna have to take it for what it is because the group itself is good. So take the gun out of the equation, take me as a shooter out of the equation, the grouping is still very good. We actually have 2 shots, the last 2 shots I believe, both went right there. So practical accuracy, we're talking about the size of a hand here. That's how big that X or the black ring is. In my opinion, as long as you are in that black, you are definitely good to go with defensive style shooting at defensive distances. That's just my opinion. Or the turkey's opinion. And it makes a little bit of noise, but not hard to shoot at all. A lot of people say 40 Smith & Wesson is snappy. This is Underwood ammo, and it's not bad to shoot at all. I mean, if a little bit snappy stops you from shooting 40, I don't know what to tell you, but it's manageable. Don't let people tell you, oh, 40 Smith & Wesson will break your wrist or it's too snappy to shoot. I've heard people say they get tennis elbow from it and all this kind of stuff, but I'm telling you, it's a little bit less round count. I'm just doing a quick little ad for the 40 Smith & Wesson real quick because I don't want to see it leave. And if you're at this video, you probably are interested in it. But we have a 15 plus round magazine, 15 plus 1 round magazine. That's not much less than you're going to get out of your average 9mm. But you're definitely getting some increased power. Numbers don't lie. Let's see what this does on the gel. All right, 15 feet off the chronograph and the gel block. Let's see what this does. Pretty close to one of our other wound tracks. 1263. Let's see if we got a good shot there. All right, 1263. Actually, we hit a little bit better than I thought, so that spot is pretty good. It is able to separate out that wound track. If I come at it at the right angle, you can definitely see the difference. You see the twisting and turning of those things when they hit. They're like screwdrivers. It sends them doing a twisting motion. We see a secondary wound channel, and we see that thing coming all the way down there to 20.5 inches, but it has a bounce back. Straighten out the tape and get a little closer. You can see it has a bounce back. Sorry, there's a smudge on that block. But that thing has a bounce back from about 21.5 inches. So it is a little bit pokey, but it does also have a ton of cavitation that goes on, or tumbling. It's a pretty nice channel right there, actually. The initial one is no joke. You know it's delivering foot-pounds, it's driving. It does probably some kind of a tumble at some point, or maybe not. But this secondary wound track, or the permanent wound cavity, that's pretty impressive. And then, yes, we did get past 20 inches, so I think that's a pretty viable option for hitting a lot of different things. All right, here's the one we're looking at right there. I have to turn the angle of the camera just a little bit so you can see it separated out. And then look at this. Holy moly, that thing left a crazy secondary permanent wound cavity. And then it got into the block over here. We can see it face forward if we look hard enough, right about there. Maybe I'll come over here and check it out. But get it to focus a little bit. But yeah, look at that secondary wound cavity. That's absolutely bonkers when it does something like that. So very good initial damage, but then coming into that block all the way down that deep and leaving those kind of wounds, that's pretty awesome stuff. All right, let's get that thing dug out of there real quick. Shouldn't be too hard. Nope, right there at the end. And I mentioned this in the last video, but trust me, coming out of one block and getting into the next block can sometimes be a challenge. These things on super slow motion or super high speed, whatever you want to call it, you see these things stretch out a lot. These things will stretch a block out big time and then come right back. They don't actually leave the block a lot of times. So to leave the elasticity of one block and get into the next one is usually a little bit of a chore. This one did it. Now, there's not going to be much that's different about this round from when it was actually fired. It didn't hit anything hard, no bone or anything like that, nothing to deform. So there's no reason to really measure it or weigh it. It didn't lose any of itself, and it didn't change shape. You can see the grooves you can see where the grooves made their marks as it spiraled down the barrel. And this one does not have the hollow base that you see here on the Xtreme Defender. That has all the way filled up base. That gives it 140 grains worth of weight, where this is 100 grains worth of weight. So the velocity slowed down significantly due to the weight of this round, but the penetration is there. And that's why we did these two ammos right in a row, Ammo Test Series number 2 and 3, so that you can compare them back to back. Because a lot of people are just always wondering, what is the difference between the two? They look so similar, and they can be loaded so different grain weights and everything, but they really want to see how they perform back to back. So there you go. We've compiled the information, use it how you see fit. I personally think this is right up there with the Xtreme Defender. I would use it for personal protection, no problem. I'm not a believer in over-penetration. I think that's pretty much a myth as far as most cartridges. Hard cast can be a little bit different, but over-penetration, that's a whole different argument for a different story. I don't think you have to worry about it with this. Accuracy is very good, even if it's not perfect. Point of aim, point of impact with me and that particular firearm today on this target with these lighting conditions. And yes, this is ballistics gel. This is not a meat-like medium. This is a very elastic gel type of medium. But it is good for doing controlled tests comparing one ammunition to another. Hope you enjoyed this test, and I hope you've been enjoying the 40 Smith & Wesson Ammo Test Series. If you really liked it and you found it helpful, maybe give it a thumbs up and share it with someone else who might like it. If you're not subscribed to the Turkey's Opinion, you're going to miss something cool eventually, so probably should subscribe and hit the notification bell. We do all kinds of things, not just gel tests, we do all sorts of stuff. If you feel compelled to help support the channel, we are on Patreon, and we do have the YouTube join button turned on so you can become a member of the channel. Let me know what you think about this ammunition, or this ammunition compared to the Xtreme Defender. Let me know if you carry it or if you've used it. I always look forward to your comments. Thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you at the next one, and until then, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting.